I think far too often PhD advisors treat PhD students as a way to extract value from a situation, that they're there to get publications, to improve their status, to sort of move up within the scientific game. Now, I think that is extraordinarily common. I think a lot of people would resonate with what I'm saying if you were within the domain of science and research, and I think you'd probably be like, yes, of course, right? But I think on the other side, there is this belief that PhD advisors should add value, and that they should be a multiplicative force of some way, and that there is, the relationship should be that there's this kind of extraction in one way or the other, right? So either the advisor is extracting from the relationship and getting something out of it. And of course, we all want that, right? And then, of course, on the other side, PhD students want to extract value from the PhD advisor, right? And I think they all want that, or we all want that as well, right? Like at different stages, it's a curiosity, right? We really want that, but I think that those two perspectives are fundamentally wrong. Um, and this presumes in these relationships that there's a fixed amount of value that goes around. And instead, a different way to view this is that nobody really knows on either side. And the idea is to create and mold and shift value together as a team. And I know that is very difficult to do, and I understand, you know, I I'm a cynic too. I'm very much a cynic. Um, so I understand the cynical view on both of them, right? From both sides, right? I've lived it, and I'm very cynical. I don't trust people if you at all follow what I actually say. I am very doubtful about people. But in an ideal reality, if we can, if and I understand, I chuckle because I don't believe in the ideal reality. But in an ideal reality, both groups work together as a team to create and mold. And I know that this is going to sound weird, birth value, right? Like there is this moment that if you work together, you can create something that is truly wonderful. Now, from both sides, I think it's easy to get caught up in that. I understand. I completely understand, right? And I just laugh. That's all I'm gonna say. I completely understand. I realize how easy it is to sort of get caught up in the moment. But if you come at these relationships, just like everything else in life, if you come at it, but it's very difficult because you need to get people to both participate, right, on both sides of any relationship. But if you come at it as a team, that every once in a while you just give some moral support and you communicate that we're crafting something that nobody else has done, and neither of us really understand what we're doing, then I think when we have that perspective and we're okay with being honest, we're okay with sort of sharing the challenges. And if you have both that perspective, at least you have somewhat of a common conversation about creating value and crafting value when it doesn't exist. And as long as you communicate, and as long as you're part of this, where both of you, both, all of the groups involved understand that we don't know what we're doing either, and that there is no constant amount of value that exists, but it's often created, often shared, often developed in ways that nobody can understand. But if we have that perspective, then we're going at this as a team, or that we're going at this in a collective effort, then there is a lot more differences that happen in terms of how you tackle very difficult moments. I think that's ultimately what you'll realize when you're doing research, just like any other really big project, just like anything that's really big, is that it's extraordinarily easy to defect, right? Like, um, defect in the sense that what I have to talk or think about is it's called the prisoner dilemma game, right? So prisoner dilemma game, um, there's a situation where if everybody collaborates together, this is a game theoretic lens, is very highly popularized. If everybody collaborates together, the total amount of value that's created is extraordinarily high. But if both people defect in that collaborative relationship, then the value is is way worse. It's really, really bad. But if in that relationship, one person defects, they're going to benefit a lot more than the other person, but the other person still collaborates. Um, in those situations, one person benefits a lot and the other person suffers a lot. Now, these kind of interesting situations like this create opportunities for people to defect because it is easy to do, right? And I think in these situations, in any moments of life where things are uncertain, you don't understand what is the value, you don't understand how challenging things actually are until you go into it, you run into a situation where it is challenging, which is inevitably going to occur with anything that you're discovering for the first time. People want to defect, right? So what is a defect in this situation? It's um, maybe they want to go work with somebody else. Maybe they don't see the value in what they're doing, so they cut the project short, that's extraordinarily common. Um, maybe that they're frustrated and they just kind of walk away and you never hear again. Right? Now that is extraordinarily common too. But what I'm getting at with this is that in order to create a healthy culture, everybody has to come at it realizing that they're a team, that if you defect, yes, you may benefit, but in the short term. And if you collaborate together and you recognize that there are these challenges and you don't really know, nobody really knows what they're doing, and you're creating value and molding it and shifting it, then people come into the situation as long as it's completely realized in that way. And people come into this situation realizing the challenges that they face ahead. And it becomes a really fun, rewarding experience. I see this in most of my relationships in life that um, I do believe in long-term commitment and all of those things. My wife and I have been married for 20 years. And it's many times it's not as easy as you think. There has been, a lot of moments where it has been frustrating. But we come back, we have a conversation, and we move forward in lockstep. I know that many of these relationships that you're going to face are not going to be like a marriage that me and my wife has. I understand the sort of, that's kind of a false image, but if you can create these situations, or if you at least allude to the possibility of these situations where that does happen, things could be really, really wonderful. And you could face up and downs and arguments and challenges, but still at the end of it, you have a fun, rewarding experience in which you are creating value that doesn't exist, and you mold it and you shift it in ways that you can never imagine. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.